Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and you had a wonderful weekend. I had an okay weekend, went to the zoo, enjoyed some time with my loved ones, and then, just relaxed. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin. As we can see right now, we are at 26,600 and we are going to be covering the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Russell 2000, the Dow Jones, natural gas, oil, gold, and silver, as you know. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin first, because right now, that's what you're all here for, right? To see where the crypto prices are going. And we can see that we are taking another little dip towards the downside. Now I'm not liking what I'm seeing on Bitcoin. If you are, bullish, if you're in shorts, that's great, because we retested 27,200 as resistance once again, and we are starting to dip towards the downside. Again, now that we are retesting this support again, I expected that we could very well potentially break it and start to potentially head down to maybe 25,200, which has been my target for a very long time now. Of course, if we do a lot of people have been messaging me about the head and shoulders pattern here. So you got your left shoulder, your head, and then your right shoulder here, and then the measured move is essentially from the the top to the bottom of the head. And we can see that if we bring it down from the breakout, this brings us down to around 23,400. Again, I still think we are going to get a little bit of a bounce right around 25,200. I'm not so sure if we're going to reach this target of 23,400, but overall, again, $25,000 should be a strong psychological support, and it's been a resistance for quite a bit of time as well. And eventually we did break out of it, but now we are going to see if we are going to test it this week. Now let's take a look at the S&P quickly, and then we'll take a look at market cipher, because the S&P 500 has closed a weekly candle underneath this major resistance. We have opened now basically on the resistance level that I've outlined here, 4,200, still acting as major resistance. It's very possible that we could get a pump to 4,250 to as high as 4,300, and potentially even wick down from there. But again, I think things are looking pretty grim in the economy, and you got stocks trading near all-time highs, trying to front run a pivot, which has never worked in history as well. You've never seen a market like this, with extremely high inflation. And the reason why the market is really believing that we are going to get a Fed pivot is because we're going to fall in a recession. But what the market has completely discounted and probably not factored in is that they're factoring in inflation coming down, essentially back down to 2%, and quite rapidly, I must say, because right now inflation, if we head over to the inflation chart, let me just load up the inflation chart right here for you guys. Take a look at inflation. It is still very, very high, and it is actually starting to level off here. Where's my inflation chart? Is it this one? This is the inflation chart. There we go. So if we take a look at inflation is starting to level off here. These last two meetings we've gotten, it was 5%, and then it dropped only to 4.9. Now some analysts are expecting it to drop to 4.1, which is a very big drop, to like a 0.8 drop. I'm starting to think that inflation is is finding its trough here, and it's going to start its move back up towards the upside. But we're gonna have to see about that, because the market seems to really think that the Fed is gonna cut at the first sign of trouble. But the Fed has reiterated many times that don't fight the Fed. We're gonna raise rates, and then we're gonna keep them high for a longer period of time than anticipated. Right now, I've never seen the market fight the Fed this much. So we'll have to see what happens. Anyways, let's get over here. Let's take a look at, I think we've covered the S&P right here by resistances, and then you got major support coming in at 3,900, 3,800. But overall, we are elevated. It's looking like major resistance here. It looks a little bit, especially the Nasdaq. Nasdaq looks ready for a pullback, but I wouldn't be surprised if we make a little bit of a higher high here, start to run into some resistance right around 1,400, 100. But we'll have to see. We'll see. Anyways, let's take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. And again, things were looking really, really bearish on that last week. But again, it was a 20 with a -5 on the dual band strength index. We got red money flow, momentum waves are coming down, the VWAP is coming down. And right now we have a 13 and -4 on the dual band strength index. So it's looking a little bit better. Let's take a look at the daily. The daily was looking bullish over the weekend, but things can turn very quickly on the daily time frame. And now we have a 16 and a -5. So it looks like we could very well be getting another leg down towards the downside. I would not be longing Bitcoin right now. Taking a look at the 4-hour, you just got back into that green money flow, but the daily time frame is looking pretty grim at the moment. Taking a look at wave edge is looking actually pretty bullish. You got that green cross on the daily, the 4-hour time frame. You got no real signals over the weekend, and the weekly time frame, you still got that red cross from a couple weeks ago, and that's really about it. You can take a look at multiple charts. They're really illustrating the similar patterns here, or sorry, similar signals. And the same thing on the daily time frame. You got that green cross. We have had pumps from this green cross in the past. So again, you can chance along if you want. It's up to you if you're just using wave edge. But taking a look at market cipher, I'm not so sure if I would be longing. But you know, there's the possibility that we could come down to maybe 25,800, double bottom, and then start to rally, because the MACD is looking like it's starting to close in a little bit. You know, those moving averages are getting very close, but they haven't crossed yet. So there's no confirmation that a low is in. And the 4-hour time frame is starting to flow back into the red. So just be careful getting into some heavy long positions right now. Just play it safe. Let's take a look at the Russell not the Russell 2000. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 on market cipher, because we just made a new weekly new weekly candle. So things are looking bullish on the S&P 500. The Nasdaq as well is looking bullish, and the Dow Jones is looking pretty neutral, or maybe bearish at the very least, because we have a 12 and a -4 on the dual bed strength index, and the Russell 2000 is looking bullish. Now, taking a look at the the daily time frame, it is starting to look like we are starting to top out here on the Nasdaq. I mean, we've had an incredible run right now. It is very well due for a pullback, maybe a 2 to 3% drop in the Nasdaq, but again, nothing is guaranteed. This thing can very well keep running. 4-hour time frame definitely showing signs of a potential top is in wave 5 using the Elliott wave indicator. But overall, I think I'm going to be holding on to my shorts on the Nasdaq and riding it down to maybe 13,300. I'll start to take profits maybe there. Or if we really get a big meltdown due to the debt ceiling not being resolved, again, that's just a big fiasco. Of course, it's going to be resolved, guys, but they're going to wait till like the 12th hour for it to be resolved. Let's take a look at natural gas here. Natural gas is open now for trading, and it is down on the overnight markets, but we are still in our long position. Again, we are some nice profits now after a very painful wait. Of course, nat gas has been chopping sideways, but natural gas is one of the most oversold assets right now. And again, I'm probably going to pick up some long-term call options on this. I'm going to be waiting to see if we do get an explosive move towards the upside. I do believe nat gas is going to be significantly higher in the coming years. And we can see that right now. They do a bit of a fib retrace using our fib retrace tool. We can see that. I think that we might be getting into a wave 4 here. We got a nice impulsive move towards the upside. This might have been our top in wave 3. If we start to come down, $2.48 is going to be some support, or at least the very least 50% retrace is going to be my main target, right around $2.42. And again, that's going to be pretty close from the previous resistance that we've been trying to break. And after all, we have broken it. We've been testing it, and then testing it. And finally, we've broken out. Now all we need to do is come back down, test that support, and then continue our move towards the upside. $3 is going to be my first target. Obviously, $3 to $3.50 is going to be where I'm going to be wanting to take some profits. But nat gas has still a long way to go from there. It needs to move up at least 41%, which is no small move. So I'll keep you guys up to date on my trades, but overall, looking very promising. Oil looking terrible as per usual. I think oil is getting ready for maybe another dip down here to potentially $68. But if it starts to make a move up to $75 to $79 a barrel, I will be very interested in getting into a short position on oil. I do believe oil is going to be headed down to $55 to $50 a barrel. As we slowly slip into a recession, the macroeconomic indicators are starting to signal that. Even with the OPEC cuts, cutting 1 million barrels a day, you can see how quickly that news faded. It was a reaction to the news, and then we hit the 200-day moving average, and we've been going down ever since. Taking a look, whoops, I didn't want to open that. Taking a look at the gold chart here. So gold got a nice pop on Friday, basically flat at the moment, but again, gold went up on a lot of fear. I still think gold needs to come down a significant amount more. And then, I would be interested in start accumulating some gold stocks again. taking a look at like Newmont Mining, a very interesting stock and the one that I have in my portfolio, is starting to come down heavily right now. If it gets down to maybe $40 to $36 per share, I would be very interested in starting to accumulate some of these gold miners. Now let's take a look here at finally silver. So silver did come down significantly, much quicker than gold. We took profits on our silver short. It is starting to go a little bit lower, and it came back into this channel that it was in for a while, and it's retesting it as resistance once again. I do expect silver to potentially make another low here. I don't know if it's going to hit $22, but if you do your fib retrace here, you might start to come to the 50% retrace right around $23, and then you could potentially chance a long there if the 4-hour gets daily time frame gets very oversold. I believe the 4-hour time frame was very oversold, and then you formed a bullish divergence. You got your pop up, but now you are already starting to run into some resistance after a 2% move. Okay, so that basically covers everything here. I'll take a look quickly at the Bitcoin hash ribbon. So no capitulation cross there. So again, this is just essentially when the hash ribbons cross, you potentially get some miners starting to sell, and then the hash ribbon starts to go down, and the Bitcoin price starts to go down as well. But overall, I think this pattern that we're in right now is not very bullish. It's starting to look quite bearish, and it's very possible that we might make another lower low, maybe around 25,200, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. You guys are awesome. Love you all, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.